Plugged in together, here's what's new. From a co-op straight to you. Helpful info to keep you in the loop.
Welcome back to In the Loop, the podcast where we keep you connected on what's happening at Coweta-Fayette EMC. Today we're talking about something every member uses but probably doesn't think about much, your electric meter. We'll break down why we're upgrading our meters, what's new, and what this means for you. Joining me today is Hans Galm and Clarence Wright. Welcome to the podcast, guys.
Thank you.
Hello, Taylor. Glad to be here.
Will you guys introduce yourself and tell us your role here at Coweta-Fayette EMC?
I'm Clarence Wright, as you just mentioned. I am the Executive Vice President of Engineering and Operations here at Coweta-Fayette EMC.
And I'm Hans Galm. I'm Supervisor of Metering and AMI Infrastructure.
Well, thank you guys so much for joining me today. So let's get into it. What is a meter? An electric utility meter is a precision measurement device that records electrical energy consumption, typically in kilowatt hours. It measures voltage and current, calculates energy usage over time, and transmits that data to the utility for billing, system monitoring, outage detection, and operational grid planning. So, fellas, why are meters such a big deal to an electric cooperative?
I'll take a shot at Hans, and then you can just jump in. So for us, it's important because it is essentially the interconnection point between our co-op and members. So typically, it's the last point in which we make a connection to them, and the last point in which the service becomes theirs as opposed to ours. So it's important for those reasons. And the other reason it's important is for us, it essentially serves as a cash register. It is where we measure the usage of the member.
Very good. Couldn't have said it better.
So let's get into Metering 101. So before the upgrade, how long had the meters been in service?
Approximately 18 years.
And from an operational standpoint, how important is metering to reliability and member service?
It's very important. In fact, it ensures correct charge of energy used and to make the customer feel good about what they are paying.
And what are some common misconceptions about meters?
Everybody likes to think that we're listening to you or we can see what's going on in your home. And they're also highly worried about the RF that's supposedly given off.
And Clarence, maybe you can go into this more. Many people hear EMF and think radiation. Can you explain that better for us, please?
Sure. The meters that I'd say a couple of things, Taylor. One is that in the process of selecting these meters, we were very deliberate about a number of factors that we would take into account, and that was one of them. The fact that we know that is a subject that is often misunderstood, but also comes up occasionally when we do talk with members. And so what I would tell you is that in that process, we selected meters that met all of the codes and requirements in terms of the RF frequency. And the other thing I would tell you is that technology is no different than, say, a baby monitor or, say, Bluetooth technology. It is nothing more impactful or harmful or would have any impact on our members than any of those other technologies.
Good to know. And let's talk more about why the upgrade. What were the main drivers behind the decision to upgrade our meters?
Well, as Hans just mentioned, we are 18 years in, so the existing meters are nearing the end of life, and they are very good for doing what their primary intention is, which is primarily reading meters. But since we've installed those meters 18 years ago, there have obviously been a lot of technology improvements and a lot more opportunities that would allow us to serve our members better by upgrading meters. And so we're excited about what some of those benefits will be to those members as we move forward. But primarily, I'd say the drivers were we were at the end of life of the existing meters, and we saw it as an opportunity that we could improve the level of service that we provide.
So would you say it's more about the technology, reliability, member expectations, or all the above?
I'm going to go with all of the above,
Yeah.
Taylor, because we think in each one of those areas, these meters will be a significant upgrade. And again, ultimately, the thing that we strive to do at the co-op is provide a high level of service to our members. And we think these are an option that will allow us to do that.
Because if you think about even cell phones with the technology, 20 years ago, it was a completely different type of phone. I mean, we had our flip phones, and they did their main job well. And that's what our meters did. They recorded the electricity use, but they had limited features and required more manual work to gather information. The new meters are more like modern smartphones. They can securely send and receive information, provide more detailed usage data, help detect outages faster, and allow Coweta-Fayette EMC to respond more efficiently to issues. So just like smartphones, they didn't replace flip phones. They opened the door for new capabilities. These new meters help support future technology and improve service for our members. So how does this align with Coweta-Fayette EMC's long-term strategy?
Yeah, as I may have mentioned earlier, ultimately our goal always is to try to provide a high level of service to our members. And we're excited about these meters because some of the options and capabilities that they will provide. I'd say that the largest one that from our perspective is that typically now when a member has an outage, they need to call in and make us aware that that outage has occurred at their home. And so by definition, that creates some degree of time lag in terms of members calling in, and then us accumulating enough that we have an idea of where the actual outage is at. With these meters, they will automatically do that. And so they will automatically notify us exactly when they are out. And just as importantly, they will also automatically notify us when power is restored. So from a pure outage restoration standpoint, it is a huge step for us.
And Hans, you are out there in the field replacing these meters. And what insights are we gaining as crews install the new meters?
Well, aside from just getting the new functionalities of the new meters, going door to door, it's given us a chance to see aging things in the field that haven't had our eyes put on them in quite some time. Since we've remote read these meters for years now, we look for common things like wiring issues, equipment that is no longer meets current standards. Being on site allows us to address those issues, improve reliability, and make sure each member's service is set up safely and efficiently going forward. Upon going out to a home to exchange the meter, if we get there, we always knock first to identify who we are and why we're there. The actual change out itself takes 2 to 3 minutes. You experience maybe a minute power outage, and that's just so that we can properly identify the meter that's there, the socket and the condition of it, and then we also take a as left picture to ensure that everything is just like we found it. If no one's there, we'll go ahead and change the meter out if we have access to it, and you should receive a door hanger that states, hey, we were there, this is what we were there for. If you're not there and we're unable to access your meter, we will leave an orange door hanger stating we were there, please call to set up a time. If you don't reach back to us within a reasonable amount of time, we have staff here that will reach back out to you and try contacting you via phone or email again to try and set up a time that we can access a meter that's unavailable.
So Hans, how is the rollout going with these new meters?
Thus far, it's gone pretty good. We're about a third way through our system. If you've already experienced the meter change out, you should have received an email notification from us stating when we would be in your area. If we don't have an email for you on file, we send postcards out just letting people know that we're going to be in the area, what kind of vehicles to expect, and what they should experience. Some of the things I know we addressed early on with this is the infrastructure that collects the data from the meters. They have a very tiny blue LED, but in the dark, it looks very, very big and bright. Hopefully now we've remedied those lights being on. Those lights are there they flash until they find a buddy, if you will, another piece of equipment to talk to. Once it does that, those lights go out. Aside from that, I think everything's been going well. The installers are doing well, and any of the above issues that we've addressed that we look for, we're handling those as we find them on a day-to-day.
As you were saying, we are a third of the way through of getting the new meters out. When are you expecting for the process to be completed?
We're pushing for the end of 2026. We're being aggressive with adding even more contractors to it for the daily numbers being changed out. Currently, we've went about this by trying to install meters where we have more known outages due to storms and things of that nature. So we've worked mainly in the west side. We're doing it by substation, and it takes roughly 3 to 4 weeks on average, maybe 5 weeks to do the average substation. And we're just moving across our system, doing it in a strategic fashion. We have to keep in mind the mesh that we use for these meters to talk. We're trying to set that mesh up too, so that no matter where we set a meter, when our crews go out, that it's being picked up by some of the equipment or other meters in the area, so that we know we get reads instantly.
So let's talk about how these new meters improve reliability for our members. So how does this upgrade improve our service for our members?
As I may have mentioned before, for us, the primary benefit is the fact that we will know when members are out, and because of that, we'll be able to more quickly send the resources to the right locations to restore power when those situations do occur. The other things that are some advantages with these is that they have the capability to allow us to know when we have transformers that are being overloaded or nearing being overloaded. So it allows us to identify any of the system upgrades that we need on a much faster basis. And then finally, the other thing I would say is that it also allows us to know when there may be wires that are down at some point that would impact service to a member. So for example, if we have a wire down and it's a neutral, typically that means that the member could experience high voltages. Because of the technology associated with these meters, we're able to quickly detect that and then quickly send resources to resolve any issues associated with it.
And will members see a change in how they receive and understand their usage of this information?
It would, because of the technology, it does allow us on a more granular basis to be able to measure the usage that members occur or the members have. And so we should be able to report and allow members to see their usage on a much more granular level, as in on a hourly or daily basis. So we feel like it's going to give members much more insight into their usage and currently allow them to be able to monitor and control it to the degree that they can.
You can also see more details about your usage and get usage alerts through the member portal or the Coweta-Fayette EMC app. And Clarence, looking ahead, how does this meter upgrade set up Coweta-Fayette EMC for future technology?
I appreciate you asking that question. It was something that we spent a lot of time thinking through, and we're very deliberate in the types of meters that we selected. So these meters have a high degree of technology that exists within them. And so it allows us to have the ability to have some future applications. For example, one would be the ability to be able to tell if there's an EV that may be somewhere behind the meter associated with the member's usage. And if we detect that, then we're able to talk with that meter, talk with that member, and talk with them about any rates that may be particularly beneficial to them. For us, it's not only an investment in currently reading the meters and the benefits that we will get in a relatively short time frame, we were conscious about making a selection that would set us up for future-proofing these meters and being able to adopt a number of applications going forward that we think ultimately will give our members more options on how they use power, how they monitor it, and how they interact with the co-op.
Well, thank you, Hans and Clarence, for joining me today. And to wrap things up, upgrading our meters is more than just new technology. It's about improving reliability, safety, and service for our members. We appreciate you taking the time to learn more about what's happening behind the scenes at Coweta-Fayette EMC. Thank you for listening to In the Loop, and we'll see you next time.
Helpful info to keep you in the loop.